Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We've already done the weekend forecast, which you can find on the homepage. So that's going to be looking at the weather in a detailed way for the coming week. This update is looking at El Nino. We're a bit late with the El Nino update this month. We did the last update in August on the 23rd, so a little bit late doing the update for this month. But anyway, this is September's El Nino update. We'll be having a look to see what has happened with El Nino. We are in El Nino now. This is the confirmation. We've looked at this already in one of the winter updates. I think it was the first one, but we've got to recap on all of that because it has now been designated by NOAA. So we will be looking at that in a moment. But before I get on with that, just to mention the ads. There's links to articles on all pages at galservices.com. Have a browse through widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go through the articles. And thanks so much for doing that. There's also video ads on most of the pages. They open up with the content. And then when you've watched it, they'll close back up again. It's all held to pay website. Thanks so much for getting involved. Thanks for doing that. My eyes are playing up a little bit tonight. So things are a little bit blurred. Hopefully I'll be able to relay the information I'm looking at okay. If I just have to stop for a little while and have a bit of a squint at the screen, hope you'll bear with me. So we're going to have a look first of all at this chart, which is from NOAA. It's from CPC, NCEP and NOAA.gov in the United States, and it's basically all of the El Niños. I think it goes back to 1950, all of the cold and warm ENSO events. It's actually cold and warm episodes by season. You can find the link to this on the links page, as well as the detailed PDF that gets updated every week. The link to that is on the links page as well. So we go back to 1950, and what excuse me, what we need to know from this is that the blue colours in the boxes are indicating La Niñas, cold events. The red numbers in boxes are indicating warm events, El Nino. So we scroll down through 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, into the 2000s, and up to the present day. And look at this for 2015, the year is just there. We have now got 5 red numbers, as I've explained in the videos before. To get an El Nino designated, we have to have 2 specific criteria. We have to go above 0.5 Celsius as an anomaly. Have to do that over 5 tri-monthly periods. So we've got our 5 tri-monthly periods there. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we've got red numbers going above or at or above 0.5 degrees, half a degree Celsius. So that one 0.5, that one 0.7, that one 0.9, that one 1.0. Notice as we go along they're increasing. The latest one which brought us to the El Nino is for the summer tri-monthly period, June, July and August, comes out at plus 1.2. That's a pretty high number for so early in the year. You don't really think of summer's being well early in the year, of course, but for an El Nino, it normally peaks around sort of October, November, December, that period. So to get such a high number so early in these boxes is quite unusual. The last time we was this high, or was higher, at this point for the tri-monthly period of June, July, August, was actually in 1997, which is just here, and that one came out at 1.4 degrees Celsius. So we aren't quite reaching that threshold. That's the strongest El Nino ever recorded. Of course, we're not quite reaching that threshold for this tri-monthly period, or for the last tri-monthly period, if you like. But we're not far off it. So it just goes to show this is, as models have been predicting, going to be a very strong event. Will it be a record breaker? I don't think it will be, actually, and I'm going to show you some model output in a moment to show that models have backed off that idea. Notice in 97, in the 97-98 event, things were rapidly carried on warming, so the next tri-monthly period came out at 1.7, and then the next one came out at 2.0, and then 2.2, 2.3, 2.3. If we start start getting to those sort of numbers for the end of the year, this does have a bearing on the winter outlook. Things may not be trending. I'm going to do a model update tomorrow for the winter, getting all the seasonal models together for the first time this autumn to see what they're showing. Things may not be going too badly for a cooler winter this year, I don't think. But we have got to watch how strong this El Nino gets, because in 97, 98, again, I'll just highlight what we're talking about. It's these 2 years just here. In 97, 98, it's very interesting because many of the things that I sort of look at with Atlantic sea surface temperature anomalies, for example, solar activity, all of that kind of thing was okay. It was pretty good for a cold winter. But we ended up with an exceptionally mild winter, and the reason, I think, is that the El Nino was just so strong, it kind of forced the pattern into a mild winter pattern. If it had been any weaker, I think we would probably have had a cold winter in 97, 98, and eventually, I'm not sure if you remember this, but we had sort of summer-like temperatures in February of 98, and then we got to April, the El Nino was backing off by the time we got to April, and as it backed off, we went into a very cold pattern for April 1998, and that sort of gave the game away, I think, for what would probably have happened in that winter if the El Nino hadn't been as strong as it was. So you have got to watch out for how strong this El Nino is getting. Let's have a look at the sea surface temperature anomaly map. But just quickly go back to that. We are very much now in an El Nino. It's been designated. It's there. There's going to be no beat about the bush about it. We're not going to sort of miss the threshold or anything like that. 2015, 2016 will be, or it is, an El Nino period. So just having a look now at the sea surface temperature anomaly, see what's happened over the past month. So this was the anomaly map when we did the last update. This was from the 20th of August, this map from now. Again, the dates are up here. It's this vibrant red area and orange area in the equatorial part of the Pacific that we're interested in. That is the signature of El Nino. So that was the situation when we did the last update. Let's see how it's developed. And further strengthening has taken place. You can see that quite clearly if we go back to last month, back to August, and then go forwards again to now, the latest update from the 24th of September. Quite clearly, further increase or further warming of the ocean has taken place through the equatorial part of the Pacific. So you expect this event to be ramping up and increasing now through towards Christmas. Normally peaks at Christmas and then backs off as we get through into the early part of next year, or early part of the year. So you expect this to be increasing. It has increased over the past month. It's now at a strong threshold, and it is becoming increasingly central bay. So it really is warming in that part of the ocean. Actually hasn't warmed all that much just here, although it hasn't yet cooled. We're looking for a Madoki or a Madiki, however you want to pronounce it, El Nino, which is central based. There's not a great deal of sign of that actually on this chart, the very latest one. For a while, it did look as though we're going to start cooling the temperature anomalies down towards the Peruvian coast, Peru being just here, of course. Now, Nino is a warming of the equatorial Pacific from Peru over there to Indonesia over here. So we did, for a time, we cooled things down a little bit in the equatorial part of the, in the Peruvian side of the equatorial Pacific. But actually, we've warmed up again from that, and it's just a general sort of El Nino stretched out from the east into the central part of the ocean. What we're going to be looking for to try and increase our chance of a cold winter is to get it warmer in this part and then cooler in this part. This really plays into the winter update, so I won't dwell on this too much, but we want to see it cooler there and warmer there. If we get that, we've sort of got a central base down here, and that can be a signature for a colder winter, particularly for America, but sometimes for us as well. The SOI, Southern Oscillation Index, is continuing with very negative numbers. Remember, the Southern Oscillation Index isn't a driver of anything, it's just an index that's reflective of the state of the atmosphere in the Southern Ocean. I think atmospheric pressure between Darwin in northern Australia and Tahiti in the southern Pacific Ocean. So when it's negative, it's telling you that the atmosphere and the oceans are coupling up to produce an El Nino. When it's positive, going the other way into La Nina. So we've had very negative numbers again this month. The dates once more are on the side of the graph. If you're looking at it, that's the 10th of September, for example, just there, came out at minus 30.3. 11th of September came out at minus 33.7, minus 26, minus 24, minus 20, minus 31, minus 24, and so on. Very negative numbers. That's why the ocean has continued to warm over the past month since we did the last update in August. It's because the atmosphere and the oceans have coupled, and they are just all the time increasing the water temperature anomaly through the equatorial part of the Pacific. Latest number from the Bureau of Meteorology in Australia when I'm doing the update, which is on Thursday evening, 24th of September, looking at minus 24.30, so very negative numbers once again. And as long as we keep posting these negative numbers, it eased off a little bit just there, 17th and 18th, but it just went down to minus 4 those 2 days. But since then, it's been dropping through the floor a bit again. As long as we keep posting these sort of negative numbers, minus 20, minus 30, with the SOI, we will continue to increase the strength of this El Nino event. There's certainly no sign of the event backing off at this point. Although, now this is quite interesting because the CFS V2 model, as you know, if you've been following these updates very regularly, has been going for a record-breaking El Nino event. It's backing off from that idea now. Still very strong event being predicted, but probably not a record breaker. So this is the latest forecast graph for the Nino 3.4 region, which is sort of this central part of the equatorial Pacific. This is 3.4 just here, and this area just here is 1.2. So, as I say, it is sort of backing off the idea of a record breaker for region 3.4, part of the equatorial Pacific. This is the latest forecast from CFSV2. So we've got the dates on the bottom of the graph. We've got the temperature anomaly on the side. And we see that the forecast is going up to somewhere around 2.5 degrees above average. Now, that's still a very strong it's still a very strong event. It is borderline record breaking. Even that, I would think, it's very close to 97, 98, but it has toned it down. This is the important point. It's toned it down from what I was looking at last month. So we can actually see the forecast from the CFSB2 for last month, and there was the record-breaking forecast that it was going for last month, going up to around 3 Celsius above average as the anomaly, the peak of the anomaly for this El Nino event somewhere towards the end of the year. So it's backed off from that. That's the latest. You can quite clearly see, but it isn't going as far up the scale, the temperature scale, now. So it's backing off, but it's still going for a very strong El Nino event. Certainly going to be a major player for this winter, but not quite a record breaker, but it has been seen. Of course, if this may be toned down even further, so what we may finish up with actually is that we go somewhere into that sort of region, and then of course getting to next year, you've got to watch out for whether we do this and plunge down into La Nina territory. You don't want to talk too much about that, but you'll notice that the trend of this black line, this dashed black line, is very much downwards as going to next year. That's January 2016, just there. Not really going for an El Nino yet, but it is going back to neutral territory quite quickly. That is a big temperature drop through the first few months of next year. And eventually that may, instead of being rather curved as that is, it may finish up doing something like that and going down into La Nina by next summer. We will look at that more as we get through to next year. Still, this idea that we're going to get a Modoki or Modaiki, and so this is region, this forecast region 1.2 towards the Peruvian coast, And you see that a few ensemble members actually are going for La Nina next year. These Outlier members just here, not supported at this stage, but certainly there are a few members there that are going into La Nina territory. But anyway, let's concentrate on the El Nino. And we see it's just a general, very gradual trend from where we are now downwards into that sort of zone. And as far as the central part of the Pacific 3.4 is concerned, it takes longer to drop down. So it is seeing that there's still this idea in play, but it will become a central base El Nino as we get through into the winter. The ECWF, this is quite interesting because it is still going more or less for a record breaker. So this is the ensemble plume, this red area. These are the temperature anomalies on the side. Dates along the bottom, of course, once again. And so we're going into this sort of region, generally with the ensemble plume. So that's sort of between 2 and 3 Celsius. So anywhere above 2.5 degrees above average is going to be a record breaker. If we get to 3 Celsius above average, then that really is a record breaker. It's a mega super Nino type event. I mean, ECWF is sort of still there, not really backing off from that idea at the moment. I think it's overdoing it, and I'm more sided with the CFS, which is easing this down with time. Notice again there's a downwards trend as we go through into the start of next year, seeing temperatures not going into La Nina territory, not going into a cold event, but certainly cooling quite rapidly through the first part of 2016. And then finally the Jamstech IOD, which has never really gone for a Super Nino, a record breaker. It is going for a big event, don't get me wrong, but it's never really gone for a record breaking El Nino, and it's still sort of sticking with its idea that the peak, excuse me, the peak of this event will be around 2.5 degrees above average. So that is a very strong El Nino event. It's up there, very close to 97, 98. It's this red line just here that's sort of the forecast mean. And yeah, we've got the dates on the bottom again, and you can see that quite clearly. It's going for a big El Nino event. Probably not a record breaker. It's very close to what the CFS V2 is doing. And then again, we have this trend down, certainly to neutral by the time we get through to the summer of 2016. Possibly, eventually, this may again look something like that going into La Nina with a very dramatic collapse. I do think we probably will get a La Nina next year, and the reason I'm thinking that is because we've had 2 pretty warm years. We've got the El Nino, of course, this year, but don't forget, last year was sort of very close to an El Nino. It's very weak, borderline El Nino type event. It never got quite designated. Never got designated. So quite about it didn't get designated, but it was very close to being designated. So we've had 2 years that have been warm in terms of the equatorial Pacific Ocean temperature anomalies. There must be a lot of cold water at depth, and I'm assuming that after 2 warm years, we will next year see that cold water coming back. So that's why I'm sort of going with the idea that we'll probably go into La Nina next year, but we'll worry about that when we get 2016. So in summary, what's happening with El Nino is that we are in El Nino. It's established, it's no doubt about it, it's there now, it's been designated by NOAA. This 2015 is an El Nino year. It's going to continue to strengthen through the central part of the Pacific Ocean anyway, through the Pacific Ocean towards the end of the year, then back off as we go through to the first half of next year. It probably isn't going to be a record breaker, but it's certainly going to be a very strong event. It's getting very close to 97, 98, which is the all-time strongest recorded. And we're just going to have to wait and see what the implications of that, or of this, is for our winter fate. And it will continue to play a big part as we go along through the winter updates that we do every week through the course of the autumn. So we'll continue to monitor it. There'll be another El Nino update next month to see how strong the event is getting. But that's all for now. Don't forget to check out Weekend Forecast if you want to know what weather's doing for the coming week. And tomorrow we'll be looking at the long-range seasonal models such as the CFS V2, Beijing Climate Centre, Jamstech, UK Met, We'll be looking at all of those models tomorrow for the first time this autumn to see what they're showing for winter 2015-2016. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.